Hey, welcome to the show. You are listening to the Roosic podcast. We are a roots music podcast based out of Nashville, Tennessee, where we talk to the local music scene and beyond.
Today we have Ashley Abernathy. She is a production coordinator at the Brooklyn Bowl here in Nashville, and she has also been a personal assistant for various artists.
Check it out. I wanted to ask you on for a myriad of reasons. One, just to hang out, but also because I feel like, we've covered a lot of stuff on the show, kind of behind the scenes, not performer stuff. But usually it's more like artist management or more, in that world of like, how do you deal with the logistics of being a performer day by day. And you kind of you have your foot in some of that, but your whole world is kind of its own thing. So first of all, how did you get involved in what it is that you do in music?
Wow. Okay. So this is such a long story.
Well, good thing we have the time.
So I never, ever imagined that I would be doing what I do for work. Like, I have a degree in social work that I have never even used in my life. And after I graduated, I moved to the Virgin Islands. I had a good time for a couple years. I ended up back in North Carolina. And, going to shows has always been something that, it's been my life. Ever since I was a little kid, my brother used to take me to shows. Probably starting in the 5th grade, I was going to government mule shows just as a
That's a good way to indoctrinate someone right there.
As a 5th grader,
Nice.
and it's like, and that's just what I did. That's what I always wanted to do when I had free time. And I just met the right people. And I ended up working in hospitality after I graduated college. And I was bartending and managing restaurants. And yeah, I just met the right people. And they were like, you love music so much. And you could be doing what you're doing backstage at shows or on tours. And so
I feel like of all of the people, and this sounds kind of crazy, but like, because we just know so many musicians, but out of all the people we know, I feel like you have seen more live music than any of us. Like, so I'm curious, before we even continue with that story, how music is such a huge part of your life, but I've known you for years now.
I was counting 6 years.
That's insane. That is terrifying.
I think going on 7, but definitely 6 years.
But so your whole life, music has been such a huge part of it. But was there ever an inkling that like that was something that you wanted to do, or was it always just a point of like kind of joy for you?
Yeah, it was. I don't think I ever thought that there was even a possibility that I could do that and make a living doing it. It never dawned on me that was something that I could make a career out of. And now here I am 8-9 years into it, almost 10 years into it. And I'm like, wow, I actually do have a career. Like when you texted me and you were like, hey, do you want to be on the podcast? I want to talk to you about your career. And I was like, I have a career? Oh my God, I have one of those. That's so crazy to me. But yeah, I never imagined that I would be doing this. I didn't really know for a long time what I wanted to do. And I think I was a late bloomer when it comes to that, like figuring out what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people thought that I was like aimlessly like wandering through my life, but
you showed them.
I have made it, guys.
Yeah. No, you're on the Roosic podcast. Of course you made it.
Yeah.
So just in terms of like, the day-to-day, just to give people kind of an idea of, and I get the feeling, as knowing what I know about the way that you work, I get the feeling that your day-to-day is very varied. But what are the kind of things that you have to maneuver in your day-to-day? Just to give people kind of an idea of like what it is you do. Yeah, for sure.
So I work at Brooklyn Bowl here in Nashville, and I'm the production coordinator there. And so what that entails is basically I am kind of like second in charge of our production team. I work directly under our production manager, and his name's Corey, and he's so amazing to work with. But we just literally make the show happen every single day, from reaching out to bands a couple weeks before they're coming to our room and advancing with them like, hey, what are you bringing with you? What do you need from us? How can we be of service to you? Like, what's your hospitality looking like? You know, like, are you bringing a backline? Do we need to provide you a backline? Like, what are you bringing for vehicles? What kind of parking do we need to provugh for you?
And I'm going to keep interjecting throughout this entire thing.
It's okay.
When you're, so how far out generally does the band or artist that you happen to have on, how far out do they tend to kind of book with you guys? So I imagine there's a pretty like established window that you kind of have laid out for you with how that timeline works.
Yeah. So we know well ahead of time, like what our calendar is going to be. Like our talent buyers they're already booking for like into next year, you know? So we already have an idea of what's coming up on our calendar well before it comes up. But as far as like reaching out to bands before they come into our room, it's usually about a 2 to 3 week window, because, you know, you have to imagine these guys are on the road and they're dealing with a show every day. So they can't talk to us about their show when it's a month or 2 months away. They can focus on their show with us when it's like 2 weeks away, you know? So that's about like when we start reaching out. And sometimes, you know, usually we reach out first to the artist, to their camp, and we're like, hey, we're looking forward to having you. But sometimes they'll reach out to us first. So it's kind of like, whoever's the first one that gets to it, then we start the ball rolling from there, kind of.
Like as I was thinking about, you know, this is, as you were well aware at this point, like this is not really an interview show. This is more just like Brian and I hang out with people. But inevitably, I'm a curious person and Brian's a curious person. So we inevitably just think of like, what are some things that like we want to know about, like all these cool people that come on. And thinking about having you on, I was like, oh, like, obviously what you do is at a very different scale and level than what we do here. But, you know, part of what I do with this is booking and getting people in your seat. Mm-hmm. And it's so much juggling to be able to, you know, and we only book, for the most part, we'll book a few months in advance, you know. And so I can't imagine this sort of the scale that you guys are working on, how much more juggling that feels. And I say juggling, it's still like, you know, you have a game plan and you stick to it. But I feel like that's got to be a lot to kind of just keep straight in your head on the day to day. You
have no idea.
Yeah.
Like my production manager and I literally look at each other every day and we're like, wait, what day are we talking about? Wait, what show is this?
What year?
You know, like, because it all runs together.
Do you guys have shows every day there? Or
not every day.
How many days a week typically?
So it kind of ranges. Our busy season is kind of during the colder months of the year. Okay. I know that seems weird, but we're an indoor venue. We have nothing that really happens outside. So when festival season rolls around during like June and July, we get really slow.
Okay.
We're really busy. Like February, right now we're having a really good month for February. We have a lot of shows this month, but I would say typically like anywhere from 3 to 6 shows a week. When we're in the height of our busy season, we're definitely doing 5 or 6 shows a week. And so I'm usually working at any given time on, I would say about 20 shows at a time, like juggling, advancing 20 shows. And like, cause you know, I'm a big part of my job is answering emails. Like we constantly have people reaching out to us during the advancing process, like letting us know what they need. Hey, we need you to rent this. What's an estimate on this kind of rental? You know, what kind of menu are we getting for hospitality? Like, are you going to be able to provide our riders? So every day I'm just like, yes, no, okay.
And so who are the people on the sort of artist side of things that you tend to be dealing with?
So when we're advancing shows, we usually are advancing typically with their tour manager.
Okay.
Usually my talent buyer will get the ball rolling and be like, this is your contact for this show. This is who you need to reach out to. Mm-hmm. And so then we'll reach out to that person, and typically it's the tour manager. Okay. Sometimes other people are on copy, like sometimes their management is there. A lot of times if their tour is rolling with a production manager, that person's going to be on copy. If they have an LD that they're traveling with, that their LD is usually on copy. So usually like the main people on the tour. And then on my side of things, it would be myself and my production manager. Sometimes our box office person is involved on the advancing thread, especially if they have a like a VIP package and they're doing a meet and greet, because Stu, who runs our box office, takes care of all of that stuff. So he would also be on the advancing process as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So in terms of like, who is the, if you could establish kind of like the perfect playbook for someone that you're working with, right? So you've got a group or an artist or whomever that they're on the calendar and you reach out to them. What's kind of best case scenario for them in terms of like having their shit together? So, because I imagine like everyone, once you're at that level, I would imagine that everyone's quite confident.
Yeah.
But I would also imagine that there's still a spectrum there.
Oh yeah.
People that are easier and less easy to deal with. You know?
So it makes things a lot easier whenever the tour has, most people have a rider. A rider in general is going to be, it has everything that you could possibly know about their tour, everything from how many people they're traveling with to what vehicle they're traveling in to if they have dietary restrictions, if their hospitality riders attached, their stage plots, their input lists, their literally everything you need is right there in one document. That's what you love to see.
And so I imagine it's in a way it's almost like it seems not counterintuitive, but it almost seems kind of inverse of what you would imagine, where I feel some people, especially starting out, if you're not at that echelon yet, you're still kind of earlier on in your career. I imagine most people would think that the more detailed you can get in those things, that it's just going to be a pain in the ass for the person on the other end of it. But I would also imagine that for you, that's what you need. Like you need people who know, okay, I need X, Y, Z. I need, A through Z.
Yeah.
And so the more detail, the better, really.
Yes, but it can also be a very fine line with that because, okay, so my room that I work in we are a 1250 room, so that's our cap, okay? And typically most of the artists that come through our room, they're going through club level venues, so they know what to expect. But then a lot of times being here in Nashville, since we are in the center of it, I mean, we really are, we're in the center of it, and so many huge artists are in this area. We get really big artists for our room that a lot of other rooms in the country my size wouldn't typically get. And so just like this past week on Monday, a huge country artist from the 90s, and he did a private event at Brooklyn Bowl on Monday. And so, that's like, we do these huge things. And so he's used to playing in like arenas and amphitheaters, and they roll with like 5 semi-trucks or 4 semi-trucks. And so when they're reaching out to us for this private event, I'm getting a rider that's like, they're playing in an arena and they're needing like me to rent all of this stuff, or my production manager to rent all of this stuff. And so in a case like that, sometimes it doesn't fit our room. And so then I'm getting all of this information that just doesn't pertain to anything that we are even capable of pulling off. And so sometimes it's, it's like, hey, I can't do any of this, but I guess it's still good to know.
How
because
often does that happen where you're like, yeah, we're not going to be able to do this?
It happens a lot, actually, because a lot of people like to hang things from our truss, right? And a lot of things can be incredibly heavy, and we just can't accommodate it. Like we can only hold a certain weight up there, so we're having to turn people down a lot. That's like the biggest reason is like, yeah, we can't hang this. It's way too heavy for our. I mean, we're a great room, and we have great things. Like our production is amazing. Our PA is amazing for our room. Like, we have an amazing lighting system, but we just can't accommodate like huge productions. Our stage, we don't have like a massive stage. We're not a major room, So a lot of times we have to tell people no, like, hey, can we put a stage thrust? Like a catwalk basically off our stage. And I'm like, well, no, not really, because that would take up like half of our GA. So no, we can't do that, but sorry.
The room's not that big.
But so it definitely happens, but people are super understanding, like a lot of times people just send a rider because that's the first thing you do. Like a lot of times when we reach out to someone, they're like, hey, we're really busy right now. We'll get back to you as soon as we can, but here's our rider. And they don't even pay attention really to what even room necessarily that they're sending something to.
Yeah, it's just kind of a place to start for them.
Exactly.
So, okay.
It's just like to get the ball rolling.
Without naming any names if you don't want to. No, what are some, have there ever been riders that you've gotten that you think, God, okay, this is extreme?
Honestly, people ask me that question all the time, and it really It doesn't happen a lot. It really doesn't happen a lot. Like, we definitely get like large writers, like especially when we get bigger artists that come through our room for sure, and they're used to getting like, you know, everything fulfilled, and it's like thousands of dollars. Like, we typically don't even do hospitality budgets in my room because Brooklyn Bowl has a restaurant. Not a lot of venues have restaurants.
Yeah.
My venue has a restaurant, and so a part of our contracts when we sign people to our room is that your hospitality that's included is we're going to feed you and get drinks for you from our bar and from our restaurant. So we don't typically shop hospitality writers. Sometimes they definitely do have budgets. It can happen. Like, I'm just advancing March right now, and we have, you know, like 4 shows that have a hospitality budget out of like 28 shows.
Oh, okay.
So it's really not that many. And then this month of February, none of our shows had a hospitality budget, like an outside shop budget.
Okay.
But we still feed them in-house. And
Yeah.
so it's like, I don't really have to do writers a lot. But yeah, we definitely get some weird things. And like the other day I had a writer specifically, I'm going to just say this, that asked for Afghan heroin on their writer. And I was like, yeah, probably can't get that for you, but you
I
know.
wonder how often they actually do get that.
I also want to know what that is.
I was like, okay, so I
Heroin from Afghanistan.
Yes, clearly. But so I literally just learned from this conversation that like a lot of heroin comes from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Guess what? Had no idea until that happened.
That's why we were there, obviously.
But I know. So I'm like, yeah, I need to be more informed because I have no idea. I'm like, I feel really dumb right now.
That's
I probably shouldn't have said that on the podcast.
No, that's fantastic. I love it.
I'd love to hear from them how often they actually show up and there's Afghani heroin in their, green room.
What's your batting average on that rider? You know?
They're like, we need some Modelo's and we need this. I'm like, I can get you Modelo's. I can get you this. I was like, but sorry, I can't really accommodate the heroin.
We've got American heroin. You know? So another question I want to ask you is, obviously, you know, because of the position you guys are in Nashville, and you are this focal point in a lot of ways in town. You get, like you were saying, you get some pretty wild acts there that other Brooklyn Bulls wouldn't be able to get.
Yeah, for sure.
Has there ever been an act that you guys are going back and forth with? And you're like, I can't believe that we have, you know, whomever here.
Yeah, we've had some really big ones. So when we first opened, I would say that first year that we were open, when we were new in town, you know, we got a lot of big stuff. Like Phil Lesh did 3 nights there.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was great. That, to me, even now, that's probably that's definitely the biggest shows that I've worked in our room for sure. Bob Dylan was also there for 2 nights, but I was
Saw both those nights.
Yeah, I was on a hiatus on tour. I was on tour then, so I was like not at Brooklyn Bowl at that time. So I didn't work those shows, but that's definitely another huge artist that came through our room. But then, you know, Taylor Swift has been on our stage.
Really?
Yeah, she not like with her own show, but she showed up at a charity event and played
That's amazing.
unannounced, and so that was really cool. I also wasn't there for that one, but that was I know.
But that's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
That means like when you leave, that's what you need to start. You need to start like telling them, okay, like if I need to take like a week off or something for whatever reason, I have a feeling there's going to be some cool artists that roll through. So that's kind of a selling point for you.
I know. And there's we do have a lot of stuff coming up this year that I'm really excited about, but I can't, I can't say anything yet, but we are getting some really good stuff in the fall. So I'm stoked about it. Yeah.
I love it. So prior to working in this world, you were working in like personal assistant stuff for some folks. Without having to like get too deep into the weeds here, I just want to know, that's another thing that for myself, I'm very ignorant on how that world functions.
Yeah.
What is your job functioning as a personal assistant for an artist in that way?
It's just, you just got to be there and literally take care
everything.
of whatever they need you to do. So that's kind of how so when I first started working in music, I kind of got my foot in the door by my mentor was a tour manager who had worked for the Black Crowes for like a really long time, and then went on to work for Chris Robinson when he had the Chris Robinson Brotherhood. He was the tour manager for that, and he just let me start like interning for him basically, and And with my hospitality background, I think that really helps with the personal assistant stuff, because from there, I ended up working for Marcus King, and that's where I got like a lot of my experience before I got hired at Brooklyn Bowl, working for Marcus. And during my time working for him, part of that was I was his personal assistant. And, you know, it's literally just, you just got to be there. You literally just take care of everything that they need you to take care of. And it's kind of like when you're working for someone that closely, there's not a whole lot of boundaries, you know, it just, that's just the way it is. So you literally are doing everything from helping clean their house sometimes, to doing laundry, to grocery shopping, to, you know, voter registration, getting their car registered, getting their car inspected, taking their dry cleaning, putting gas in their car. Like, I literally was, you know, doing whatever. And a lot of times it's like accompanying them out in public, just to be like a gatekeeper when they're in public facing situations, especially when it's an artist, you know, or someone that's more famous, because I've been a personal assistant for, you know, like public figures, but also just like more high net worth individuals who aren't necessarily
there's not like a celebrity
famous
attached to
or
it.
celebrity.
That's got to be a hard job.
It is. It definitely is. And there's not really like it's kind of like a 24/7. There's no, like, it's always being available to someone and having to drop things even when you're in the middle of doing something for yourself, because they're like, hey, I need you to do this. And like, it can't wait. So it's like, okay, I'll be there. Here I come, you know, and that's okay. But it's worth it. Like, you know, I've gotten to do, especially when I was working for Marcus as his personal assistant, that's when I got to do literally some of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do in my career. And like, even as far as being at backstage at shows and meeting some of the people I've met, and just like, I've been extremely fortunate. I never could have imagined being in some of those positions. So it was really cool.
Yeah, I imagine the work-life balance with something like that is very difficult.
Oh my gosh, sometimes there is no life. It's only work. But you know, it got me to where I am today, and I'm really thankful for that. Like, I did have to sacrifice like a lot of like personal free time for sure. But it's also like when you're working in the music industry and you're doing what I do every day for work, whether it's backstage being a production coordinator or being a personal assistant to an artist, like, even though it is work, it's also not work, because it's a lot of fun. Like, most of the time you're getting to do a lot of really fun stuff as your job, you know?
And that's one of the things that I think that parallels a lot with just the musician experience in life in general. It is all encompassing. I mean, whether you are just starting out or whether you are at that higher tier of success, it takes up your entire existence. And I think that one of the things that I've been really interested in discussing with people in here who are artists is how you find that balance in life, because it seems like the goal would be that, you know, as you find more success, that you would be able to get those things under control and maybe find a better, or, you know, find a healthy balance with that. But if I think we've learned anything from this show, is that it just gets harder the more, and I think that that's something that like people don't really realize. I'm sure that transcends music, but the more success you find in whatever field that you happen to be in, the more difficult that balance is to strike, because there's more on the table and there's more at risk. Like, do you, as someone who has gotten a chance to see so many different lives in that world, have you found people that can really strike that balance well, that you think can do that?
I've definitely seen artists, and not just artists, but people on my side of things too, who definitely kind of have it all and are making it work. Like, obviously everything's not perfect all the time, but there are definitely people who make it work. And I feel like I'm actually pretty good at doing that myself. I mean, I'm at work a lot of the time, some days 16 hours a day. But then I also make sure that I enjoy my life. Like, when I'm not at work, like I'm out, I'm doing things. Like, I try to just like enjoy things as much as possible, but it's also different because I'm not married. I don't have kids. And so I think that makes things a whole lot harder when you have those added aspects. And especially when you're a touring musician, to be able to find a balance, especially when you're missing out on things and you're not at home a lot. But it also goes for like crew members, even people who aren't touring, people who are working shows in the industry, no matter what city you're in. Like, when you are working in the production world, you're there all day long. Like, it's you're the first in and the last out. Like, you're there before the band and the tour gets there, and you're there after they leave. And so you're still working really long days and you're missing a lot of stuff. So it can be very hard, you know? And so I think that's another reason why mental health issues are such a huge problem in our industry too. But things are like, there's so many like resources out there now, like Backline Cares is amazing. And that, I think like people who reach out to them, they can really help you. Like case management can really help you if you're struggling to like find a balance. So just have to utilize the things.
Yeah, it's nice that there's resources out there for folks, because it is. And again, like I'm sure part of it is just you're only aware of the world that you live in, and so I'm sure that this is probably true in any other. I'm sure this is true in trucking or whatever.
For sure.
Like, I'm sure that these dynamics are still there, but in music, it's just.
It becomes addicting.
Yeah, and again, as someone who's not on, I've worked on that side of the fence, but for the most part, like my relationship with music is as someone who likes making music, and I think it's interesting because when you're dealing with the arts, if you want to call it that, it is such a personal thing. It's such a deeply kind of personal part of who you are that when you start to mix that with business, for a lot of people. It can be hard for people to like strike that I don't want to say strike that balance, but to even just be okay with the fact that like no, like what you're making, what the thing that you love is it is a business it's a business venture that you're involved in, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's personality. I don't know what exactly it is about disposition that like some people, it seems like, have a harder time marrying those two things, and other people can just do it really effortlessly. Like a lot of people can with no detriment to their art and not having to give an inch in terms of what it is that they want to make. They can see that, oh, like I'm a small business owner, or maybe not so small business owner. Like, do you find that like the folks that you work with, do you find that there is a sort of I don't want to say like a spectrum of comfortability, but like that there are people who are better at being able to just compartmentalize the art from the business side of things.
Oh yeah, there definitely are. And I think, especially with artists, I think it's really like a lot of people who are artists, they don't want to mess with the business side of it. Like they just want to,
which I think is so weird.
They just want to make their music.
I totally get that, because
they just want to make their music.
For me personally, that definitely can get in the way of the art for me.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's why I like people who do what you do and other people, assistants and such, that I could totally, if I could afford one, I'd definitely have one.
I just think you got to be, and this is why I think it has to, in a way, be personality dependent, because it's like, to me, that I can sort of wall off those gardens separately in my mind, in the sense that like, I can have over here that segment of me, which is dealing with the art on a very personal level and really trying to be and all of the baggage that comes along with that, trying to be the best musician that you can, trying to be all of that stuff over here. And then over here is, okay, so how do I juggle all of these different things in a business setting? And I wonder why. That's
why it's so hard for independent artists right now, because they're having to, if they can't afford like a management team and a booking agent, and they're having to do all of these things themselves, then where do they find the time to be creative and make their music? Because booking your shows and
all of it is a full-time job. All of it.
And booking your hotels, and just like being able to pay a band to go and play with you, like all of these things, plus have your own job to be able to support doing music, but then also having to be a full-time booking agent. And it's so crazy.
Those things can really suck the creative life force out of you.
Of course. It's just like kills the creativity.
It's a double-edged sword too, because on one hand, you're living in this time where all you as an individual artist have the ability to cover all of these different facets of the music business and be able to do all these things, which is incredible. And it does. It certainly allots it allots people the ability to do things that even 25 years ago would just not be on the table, or certainly less than that. But at the same time, I mean, exactly to your point, you're expected at the same time to do the job of 12 people.
Yeah, and that's not even mentioning like social media, like all the content that you're expected to churn out in order to keep people engaged and like on your music. Like I literally don't know how artists do it. Like sometimes I wish I was more musically inclined. Like I'm just a huge fan of music, and it's my passion to like help pull off shows and make artists have the best day possible when they're in my venue, like bring in the vibe backstage. Like that's everything, I don't know how they do it. Like, I'm like, I wish I was a musician, but I'm like, do I? I don't know if I do. Like, it seems so glamorous and great, but it's like a lot of work. It's a lot of work for sure.
And at the risk of sounding like bitching, right? Because it can start to very quickly become that, or seemingly become that. I think, again, there's never been a better time to be an artist. So much is expected of you, though, and there's just not enough hours in the day, frankly, to be able to put on all of those hats. So as someone who deals with people who wear those various hats on a daily basis, for artists that are really trying to take this seriously and really trying to get to that next step, whatever it happens to be, like how would you kind of guide someone in terms of the skill sets that they need to get comfortable with in order to be successful? And I know that's not like a one size fits all thing. But because I know that's a really tall order, but just from your experience, I think it could be beneficial for people to hear, okay, like what are the skill sets that I need to put my time into that I'm going to use the most? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think social media skills are really important. Time management skills are super important, but like, when it comes to being an artist, I don't know if this makes sense or not, but I think the most important thing you can do is just having the right people around you in general, like that you can trust to take care of all of these things so that you can focus on the stuff that really matters. And I think that that's so hard to find. It's so incredibly hard for artists to find like trustworthy people around them. And unfortunately, Nashville is, it's
a lot of leeches. Yeah,
it is. And so, I think that's the biggest thing is just like surrounding yourself with the right people and just like absorbing all the information you can, like artists, surrounding yourself with the right people. But if you're like trying to work for an artist, like literally just like never turn down a gig. Like anything you can do, learn as much as possible, be a sponge and take everything that you can in, like. And I mean, that's what I did. Like I've worked everything from a merch table to a production assistant to running a teleprompter to, I mean, I've literally done it all. And it's not that you have to know how to do everything, but I think it's really important when you're willing to just like jump in and be like, no job is too small for me. Like I'll do whatever I can to learn, because the more you're willing to jump in, the more and more things are going to be offered to you. The more jobs are going to come your way to just like further yourself.
I think it can be scary for artists too, because I mean, you're so hungry for not even success, financial success, etc., but you're so hungry for anything that when someone comes your way that says, hey, like I can help you with X, Y, or Z, the knee-jerk reaction is always going to be, thank God. Oh, okay, perfect. Whereas you don't know if that person is going to be able to actually help in the capacity that you need at that time, because again, at various times in people's life and career, you need different things. And so I think I just have so much sympathy, because I mean, I've obviously been in that situation many times in my life, but for young artists, I think a lot of it too is just to your point. It's filtering out. It's being able to like kind of, I don't want to say suss people out, but like it's being able to really understand, and not even necessarily because those people may have not your best in mind, but just because you don't want to waste that precious energy and time that you have, like you need to be able to find the people that work for you in the way that work with you in the way that you most need at that time. Like, do you, for the artists that you happen to be dealing with, kind of where they're at in their career, because I imagine it's, at that point, if you're playing Brooklyn Bowl, you may not be Bob Dylan, but you're established.
You're doing all right.
You're doing all right.
I feel like our room is a come up room. Like when you're playing our size room, it's kind of like during your discovery, like you're on the come up, like people are starting to figure out who you are, and you're on the rise. Yeah,
and I was going to ask, like, do you, because you're exposed to all of those people who it does seem like are on that trajectory, are there certain things you see in artists or bands that okay, that's going to work out for them? Like they've got this in the bag, so to speak. And in the inverse, do you see artists, do you interact with artists that you think, okay, whatever that thing is, I don't know if that's going to carry.
Yeah.
Like, are there certain traits?
For sure. I feel like it's kind of easy to pick up on when you're backstage with artists all day in a venue and you see them interact with venue staff and how they interact with your production team and even how they interact with myself. And, just the way they carry themselves, the way they ask for things backstage. Like you can tell the ones who like are deserving and who are gonna get or who are gonna they're gonna get where they need to go because they're deserving of it. They're like good people, and I feel like we see that more so than things in the opposite direction. But there are definitely times where we get tours backstage and it's kind of a really difficult day and they're not really easy to work with, and maybe you don't feel like they're as like maybe as grateful to like be where they are and stuff. But I think that says a lot, like just how they carry themselves and how they treat people. Like you can kind of tell, for sure, like beside like without the talent even being involved, because we get all kinds of different talent ranges that come through our room too, and all kinds of different genres, and I'm not familiar with everything. And so I'm like, I think you're great. I love everything. I love music. So I just enjoy we get everything from metal shows to country shows to jam bands.
Yeah, you guys get quite the variety. Yeah. But I guess I always think too, I don't know how to phrase this, but, I think that there's this sort of stigma in this, just in life. I think this obviously transcends music, that certain people get to certain places that don't deserve it. And I am sure it's like anything. If you look at the numbers, I'm sure those people are out there. But for the most part, when you're dealing with let's take music, because that's what we're talking about. Yes, there's a certain just bar you need to hit in terms of talent and what you're bringing to the table. But a big part of that is you need, to your earlier point, you need to be able to work with people. And a lot of people don't want to work with you if you're a jackass.
Yeah,
and again, those people get through in any in any world that's going to happen. But for the most part, my experience in life is the people who tend to be successful in life aren't that hard to hang out with.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
There are, I feel silly like continuing to caveat that, because that those people exist that just get lucky or whatever. But if you look at the batting average, that's such a small percentage of the people that do. I think so much of it is just being able to like be a decent hang.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
People are more likely to want to work with you again.
And when you look at all of the different people involved, I mean, just think of the artists that you deal with. Like you were saying earlier, there are so many different folks that are involved in a big production like that, from tour manager to personal assistant to manager to, you could just, the list goes on and on and on and on. All of those people need to be able to be, have a half decent relationship with the artist or band or whatever that they're working with. Like that's really hard to do if you're just a fuckface the whole time.
No, for sure. And we talk about this actually backstage at my venue all the time. Like when we're hanging out in the office, like just like, people popping in and out about, like when it comes to, especially when we're hiring, like looking for new people, like we need to hire new people for the team. It's always like, most people can be taught anything, but if the vibe isn't there and you can't hang, like you can't teach someone that. And it is like really the most important part of being on a production team, being on a tour, because even when you're on a tour, like, and you're living on a bus with people, like, the most important thing is the vibe and the hang. Like, it is backstage, on a tour, wherever you are in the music industry. I would say that that is probably the most number one important thing, is the vibe and the hang, and how you can, if you can do it or not. Honestly,
I tell my kids this all of the time at work, because, you know, I'm lucky. I've got some kids at work that like really love music, and they're just infatuated with music. And I'm like, okay, if you want to be a good musician, you just have to be like. It sounds stupid because, you know, as a music teacher, you want to be like, get really fucking good at music, which that helps.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, just be a person, be someone that people like being around, like, truly, because there is nothing worse than, you know, having to find a bass player for a tour or whatever, and you're thinking, God, okay, this guy can shred, and it'd be great. I'd love to have this guy on, but like, I can't be stuck in a car with him for however many miles. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And like, that's my number one thing to all of my students, is like, just be able to be in that environment and be helpful. You know, like, just be helpful. And that's a hard thing, because I think, especially because when you're dealing with people who, you know, nobody gets into, and we talk about this all the time, nobody gets into music like accidentally, for the most part. I mean, as an artist, I should say, like, people don't accidentally stumble into doing this. It's usually something that you've had to like spend years of your life struggling over, not making any money, probably being miserable, and just it is an uphill battle all the way. And obviously it's never going to stop, because that's life. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well then sort of enjoy the suffering, you know what I mean? And I wish that that more folks could kind of have that mentality with it, and just understand that, you know, yes, it's great to be able to absolutely shred. That's cool. I'll get there one day. But it's you just need to be able to, hang. I don't know how to say it. You just got to be able to hang.
Yeah, that and compromise.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very good point too.
When you're a musician, I think that's a big one. That's a big one for sure. Because I see that a lot of times. Like, I'm not a musician, but I see a lot of sound checks, a whole lot of them. And, you know, I see some guys, some bandmates get real heated on stage with each other, you know, and I think that's a big thing, is just being able to like compromise with your bandmates and like take some criticism and stuff.
Do you think when those dynamics are played, do you think it's because of a lack of ability to compromise, or do you think...
it's probably more of like an ego thing.
Yeah, I wonder.
It's more of an ego thing, like this sounds better, or my way's the better way, or whatever.
Do you think in those situations, is it best to have, because I imagine the hardest thing in the world to be, I mean, within the world of being a musician, right? The hardest iteration of that is to be in a band. If you're in a band where you've got, you know, 4 or 5 dudes, and each of you is supposed to have equal say in the matter, I imagine that's a recipe for a fucking nightmare.
Better when it's like one person who's kind of decides everything.
Like, I always think that, like, and that's why, like, all of our favorite bands end in disaster. You know what I mean? Like truly, it's like, think of the greatest all of the greatest bands that you love, whether it's the Beatles or the band or Zeppelin or whatever, like all those groups that I mean, none of those groups would be those groups without all of those people.
Exactly.
Right? And that list can go on and on and on. But but they end tragically.
The crash and burn.
Yeah, and I feel like that's almost, like, nobody, this is going to sound so cynical, and I don't mean it like this, but like, nobody likes a band where everything ends happily. You know what I mean? Like,
what's the fun in that?
But I
there
almost,
has to be some drama, man.
But I think it's almost beyond that. I think it's almost like part of the recipe. Like, when you have people that are that passionate about what they're doing.
For sure. Like, that's right. It's like maybe you should stand your ground. Maybe you should die on that hill during sound check.
Well, no, it's like the Police. You're like, I love the Police. The Police, they're one of my favorite bands. It's like,
I'm sorry, keep going.
I didn't say I like Sting's solo career. I mean, that's a whole other. That's a whole other. No, I'm just kidding.
Either way, that's what I think of every time.
But like, but my point, I guess my very small point being that, like, I like that within that dynamic, there's people getting very upset over very stupid reasons because they feel very strongly about the music. That's like, no, we got to do this, or we've got to do this with like, and that can kind of be where the magic lands sometimes. Whereas I think that when you have one person at the helm, it's, on one hand, it's nice because it is that sort of creative director. It's someone who can put the foot down and say, no, this is the direction we're going in. And that can be amazing. But it is also nice when you have people wanting to die on those hills. I think it can.
I mean, I think because everybody's passionate about what they're doing. Whereas like a band where it's like one guy kind of deciding everything, you probably have a lot of band members who are just there to do their job and they don't really give a shit. And I think that comes through. Yeah. You know?
And I also think that that's where those artists, whatever form it happens to take in music, who are at the steering wheel, the ones that I look up to the most and am in the most awe of are the people who can simultaneously be able to put their foot down and say, no, we're keeping the course for whatever reason. We're keeping the course in this direction, but also can facilitate this situation where people are bringing all, like, I think in a way it's kind of like, there's parts of, this is going to seem like complete side tangent because it is. There's parts of like classical music that I really enjoy. But there's, at the same time, there is a sort of singular sense of direction that can lose me sometimes. Because, you know, if you're experiencing a piece by, you know, insert whoever there, everyone there, yes, you're trying to serve the song, but you're playing those notes on the page and you're not wanting to deviate from the mind of the creator, right? Whereas, you know, if I'm listening to Miles play with the boys, I have a feeling Miles knows exactly what he wants, but he's also going to let the guy step out and do things that would not have come to him.
He also hires who he knows is going to do what he wants when you let them do what they want. And like
that skill set of being able to ride that knife edge, that to me is one of the things I have the most, I'm in the most awe of in art, because the people who can do that, you know, whether it's Miles Davis or again, there's quite a long list of folks who are really good at that. That's unbelievable. Like that's the skill that I want to be good at that, which is really, I mean, to your point, it's really just being able to put people in the situations that, like, to your point, that they need to be in, you know, but that's hard. That's really, really hard.
It can be for some people, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I just that I think is really, that's difficult. But another thing I wanted to ask you is, and I probably know some of these answers already, but who are some favorite musical, like, either groups, bands, artists, whatnot, that you wish you could get into that room, you know, for whatever reason, maybe they're not around anymore, or maybe it's just not in the cards.
Well, you know, my favorite band ever is probably the Black Crowes. I mean, that's just how it goes. I try so hard to fight it sometimes, but I do. I love that band.
Nothing wrong with that.
I love that band so much. I love all of their music so much. Or the early, you know, the early stuff. The, you know, not so much the lately stuff, but it's still great, you know. But I do love that band so much. And I have been fortunate enough to be around those guys and be in rooms with them. And that's kind of how I got started a little bit, is being around some of the guys who are close to them and learning from them. And so that's been really cool for me. And then I'm a huge The Band fan. I love The Band. Lord, they're so good. I just wish I could have ever seen them, you know, one time. Would have been great.
I can't imagine, like, I just can't imagine those five guys in a room together. Like, how, the thing I love, okay, I'll let you answer my own damn question in a second. I'm sorry. But the thing I love about that band is there's such, like, I'll contrast against someone like the Beatles, right? I love the Beatles. The Beatles are absolutely incredible. The Beatles and other fantastic bands, they have this wild ability to sort of meld into one another, where it becomes this sort of singular entity of, like, I mean, you could use vocal harmonies as an example. Like, it can be hard to parse out some of those because everything kind of fits together in this beautiful just stew of stuff.
Yeah.
And with the band, I love it for the complete opposite reason. I love that all 5 of those guys have such singular voices.
Oh my gosh.
And somehow they don't clash with one another.
And
somehow it's like a puzzle piece that just fits together perfectly. And that is something that I just it's very, very, very rare to experience something like that in music.
Yeah.
And I love that so much. I love that I can always pick out Rick.
Oh, Rick,
and he's like, and he's just like, I know,
is,
and like to be just be able to play those bass lines and sing those parts simultaneously is insane.
And the same with Levon.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, just the groove and the way that he can sing and groove, and like Levon songs are my favorite. Levon's are my favorite. I love them all, but when it comes down to it, the Levon songs are my favorite.
I love Levon's voice to death. I think Robbie is truly one of the great. I feel bad because I feel Robbie is truly one of the great American songwriters, and I feel bad because I think in a lot of ways, I don't want to say he's outshined by the band at all, but like I feel like because of the situation, when you are part of a band, right, it's that can be lost on people in terms of performers. I love all their voice. I mean, I love Levon to death. Levon's solo stuff is just
so good.
It's so. Whereas I love the other boys' solo stuff too, but like, yeah, his solo stuff is just
so good.
Oh,
it is
so good.
Electric Dirt Farmer, all of it. I mean, everything is so good. Yes. All of his stuff, yeah.
And okay, sorry, we could talk about the band forever.
I know.
I digress. But so kind of going back to your list. So the band would be on there. Give me a couple more. Who else do you think? Who would you love to have in that room?
Oh man, I also. Is this like anyone, or is this like only
anyone, whoever you want? Doesn't matter.
I feel like I'm thinking only dead people right now.
Throw anyone in there.
But those are like some of my favorites.
I mean, most of my favorites have been dead for a while.
Mine too. Yeah.
I was gonna say Stevie Ray Vaughan too, because he's one of my most favorites. He can be in
Brian
any room I'm ever in.
Stevie
Yes.
He's the reason I started playing guitar.
Well, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that in your playing for sure. That makes sense.
Yes.
Big Stevie fan.
Gosh.
That would be a hell of a show.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, but actually, oh my gosh, okay, I'm just going to say it. And I know there's going to be some haters out there, and I'm doing this
go for it.
I'm doing this for myself, but I'm also doing this for my best girl law, Geese. I want Geese in my room so bad.
Nice. I just got exposed to Geese very recently. I was in California, and my brother was playing it in the car, and I was like, "What? This is cool. What is this?"
Yeah.
Never heard it in my life. I was like, I'm going to jam out to some of this. I need to do the deep dive, because what I've heard, I like.
It's so great. And, I understand, like, it's maybe can be an acquired taste for some people. His voice, his singing, I'm into it. I dig it.
I think it's really cool.
I love it. And, it's, yeah.
Get Geese. Would it be Goose singular? Get Goose on the pod,
Yeah, we have had Goose in my room. Actually, 2 nights, one of them on my birthday, Phil.
Is Geese different than Goose?
Yes.
I haven't heard Geese.
Oh my gosh,
Goose,
Brian, let's go. You got to get into the Geese.
All right, I'll look
Cameron Winter is there. He's like the lead singer, guitar player, and he also has his own like kind of thing where he tours and does some solo stuff, but it's good. They just did a Saturday Night Live for the first time, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, that's a very solid list right there. I think that's pretty good. That's a good mix of dead people, not dead people.
Good people, alive people.
What? So because you're a very hard person to pin down in terms of music. Like you like all kinds of stuff, which is great. I mean, I'm the same way.
So much stuff.
But
yes.
what, as a young person, what was the first kind of music that really just caught your attention?
Well, it's just Southern rock. It's just what I was raised around and what I grew up listening to between like my parents, and my older brother was super, super into music. And I mentioned before, like he started taking me to shows when I was so young. Like as soon as he got his license, like we were going to shows and I was in tow with him. And I mean, I was going to Christmas Jam in Asheville. Anything Warren was doing, we were there. If it was Mule,
nice.
If it was Christmas Jam, he was taking me. And like, that's kind of how I really got into going to shows, is because my brother was super into music and we were just really close when we were younger. And that's like, he got me really into music. And, that's kind of how it started. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite era of the Allman Brothers? I know that's like a really, but like gun to your head, favorite era.
I love their first few albums.
Yeah, like, I love the first few albums, but Brothers and Sisters is one of my favorites, and Out a While South is also amazing. Like, they're all so good, but and that's kind of how I got my start working in music too, through Marcus. Marcus came up on that scene, and Warren signed him. And so when I was working for Marcus, I was so fortunate to be around what's left of the Allman Brothers. And I got to meet a lot of those guys in very intimate settings and be backstage around them. And it's something that I will cherish forever. So yes, they are also like a huge favorite band of mine. That's for sure. So beautiful. One of the coolest shows I've ever worked was Capricorn was the label that the Allman Brothers were on out of Macon, Georgia. And they were around in the 60s and 70s, and kind of like, I don't know when exactly they closed down. They kind of closed up shop, but then they had a relaunch several years ago, and they had this big show, and Marcus was invited to play in it, and I was working for him at the time, and like Bonnie Bramlett, Taj Mahal, Chuck Leavell, anybody that was on Capricorn's label during that time was invited to play in this show. And I was backstage, and I got to meet all of these people. I got to hold Dwayne's gold top. I mean, it was just amazing. But you want to know, out of all of these things, like, that's one of the greatest nights of my musical career for sure. But out of all of the things about that night, the most thing I was excited about is there's this guy that was on Capricorn Records, and his name is Jonathan Edwards. And not a lot of people know about him, but I love him so much, and all of his records are absolutely amazing. And while all of these huge stars, like all these people I just named, like, yeah, that's amazing. And I was freaking out because Jonathan Edwards was backstage, and nobody even really knows who he is. But I'm like, oh my God, it's Jonathan Edwards.
So that's amazing, though. That's so beautiful. I love that.
But yeah, I think I got off on a tangent there. I'm sorry.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, That's quite a room of people. That's amazing.
It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal. If I could have my Mount Rushmore of, like, other than, yourself, which we've checked that off, so that's like, we're good. We're in the clear now. But like, he would be on the Mount Rushmore of folks to talk to, because his entire career is just unbelievable. Like, there's not a dud record in there. There's not. And,
I'm sure if you know about the Allman Brothers, and you probably know about this, but he's the reason why Dwayne Allman learned how to play the slide guitar was because of the Taj Mahal records. He like met, I think he was like in some kind of like riding on a horse or something. I don't know what happened. He was in some kind of accident, and he hurt his elbow. Right. And Greg brought him a Taj Mahal record, and it was like, he started listening to it, and he was playing slide on that record. And then he picked up a pill bottle and learned how to play slide because of a Taj Mahal record.
Yeah. Taj and Ry Cooder are two of my...
Very loose story, guys.
Hey, you know what? That's how all the good stories should be.
Go and fact-checked my story,
please. That's how all good stories should be. Him and Ry Cooder are two of my just favorites of all time. I think those are just two of the best guitar... Oh, God. First time I saw Taj Mahal play, I was probably 12... maybe 12 or 13.
Wow.
And I went with my dad. I went with my dad. I think my brother came with us. And I was big fan. My guitar teacher had showed me him as a kid. So I'm trying to think where we went to see him. It's this tiny venue. And he came out, and I don't think I blinked just watching his right hand for like an hour and a half. It was like a magic trick. And we left, and I was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe he could do that with a guitar. It was so, I mean, I never tried anything like that with guitar before. And it was just amazing. And so that sticks in my mind. It's just one of the most impactful shows I've ever experienced in my life.
I've had that feeling before at a show, and it was when I saw Sturgill Simpson for the first time, but it wasn't because of Sturgill playing guitar, even though he's obviously amazing. But his lead guitar player's name is Lauer Joe Metz, and he's from Estonia, and he, like you, was like very classically trained, and just, he's amazing though. And I didn't know these things about him at the time, but I saw him. It was at a show in Raleigh, and I was just like, I could not take my eyes off of his playing the entire time. I think it was like Outlaw Fest or maybe something they were on. I can't even remember. I don't even think it was a Sturgill show. I don't remember, but either way, I just like couldn't believe how good he was. And then like years down the road, he would end up sleeping on my couch and become one of my friends. And now he's here in Nashville. It's really cool, but he's an amazing guitar player. And I have never really remembered seeing someone that I, like that and being like, holy shit. But that's how I felt when I saw Lauer play for the first time. He's so, so good.
That's awesome. I love that. That's so beautiful that things like that can come to fruition in life and bloom.
It's so crazy.
That's
the
amazing.
Music world, our music world that we're involved in here in Nashville, it stretches obviously to other cities, but I keep being reminded every single day, especially recently, how incredibly small our world is. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah, even just doing this, it's kind of insane how tiny that group. I mean, which is funny because Nashville, everyone plays music. I mean, like the running joke that I always say is the guy bagging my groceries at Kroger's a better guitar player than me, and it's like, that is totally true. But
not
at the same
that he's
time,
better than you, but they're everywhere.
And it's just, but at the same time though, it is very interesting because. I mean, even just again, this is going to be episode 51. So we haven't been doing this forever. And it's like, but even in that time, you think, God, that's wild that this world is so small.
I know. It's so crazy. It really is. But I also love that about our little world, because I feel like every time I meet new people, they're like new to me, but it's also like, but we also know like 50 other of the same people. So wait, I already know you. You're a homie.
And like in a way, it's like a nice like filtration process, because you're like, okay, if you're friends with this guy or that gal, it's like I probably like you. You're probably cool. You can probably hang.
Yeah.
I was thinking about. I think that's harder with. I think that's harder that question I was asking about the Allman Brothers. I think it's harder with the Dead, because like the Allman Brothers, to me, I always think of it like there's like. After Dwayne dying, it's like, okay, there's that era of him in there, and then afterwards you get a few different eras after. But to me, it's like a very different band. Once,
oh, absolutely,
yeah, and which again, there's still amazing stuff in there. I think that those few years, I mean, it was a very short period of time, but those few years with those guys together is just absolute magic, and there's amazing magic after that. But I love that little bit of time we got. Whereas with the Dead, I feel like it's trickier in a way, because it's so much more cohesive in a cohesive. Yeah, it is. It's more. There's more strands that go longer, if you will.
Expansive.
Yeah, and then we all have our kind of favorite eras, but that can be trickier. I love the Pigpen era. You know what I mean? I do. It's great. But anyway, I digress. Anytime I can shoehorn the Dead into this show, I'm happy to do so.
Of course. Gotta love the Dead.
So at this point, right, it seems like you're kind of, you've covered a lot in this world, and it seems like you're one of the things that I admire about you is you're always constantly growing. You're always constantly taking this stuff in. And it seems like, because that's a mindset thing I find in people. Yeah. It's like no one accidentally gets good at learning. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the things I've always found really interesting about you is you're constantly trying to improve at what you do. And with all of that said, what do you think is kind of like next on are you happy with the direction you're in right now? Is there a pivot that you want to make at any point, or are you just sort of along for the ride?
There was a time where I thought, I was like, I would really kind of want to get into booking or management. Like production is life, and I love it, but it's also your life, which, don't get me wrong, management and booking can also be that way, but production is just a whole other beast, because it's like making the show happen and being there and putting out fires, whatever. And I've thought about doing that, and I've kind of like dabbled and trying here and there.
You would crush it, dude. If you got into management, you would absolutely fucking destroy them.
This is the thing. production just keeps just
pulling you back. It's like the mob. They just pull you back in.
I love what I do, and I am good at it. I am good at my job, and so it's really hard to and like I mentioned before, you get addicted to it when you work in the live music industry. Even though I could work 5 days in a row, sometimes 15-hour days in a row, whatever it might be. And yeah, I can't wait to have a day off, but it's I'm still fiending, dude. I'm ready to go back to work. You get addicted to it. And so it's no matter, there's times where I'm just God, I can't do this anymore. I need a break. I'm getting so burnt out, but I can never walk away from it because it's it's a real thing. The addiction to it is real. And you can ask anybody who does what I do, especially people who tour, the hard road dog touring people. That's a whole other kind of addiction, but it's real. It's really hard to walk away from it once you're deep in it. It's so hard.
Yeah, that's one thing that I find about doing this though that I kind of love is, don't get me wrong. My day job is awesome. You know what I mean? I have nothing to complain about in life in that way. But with this, this show it's a lot of work in various ways.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And but I wish I had more time to suffer with it. Do you know what I mean? I know it sounds silly, but it's any time that's put into doing this stupid show, I love that. I love, I can only speak for myself. I'm sure Brian gets fucking burnt out while doing this, but
yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, I did at one point. Well, at one point I was doing way more than I was now, and I definitely
we found a balance.
I definitely burnt out hard at one point, but we're good now.
I love, but I'm the kind of person I was I want to burn out doing the thing that I like doing. You know what I mean? And that's hard. And it's weird because again, it comes back to kind of not wanting to complain. It's I got a cool job. Brian, life is good, but at the same time, it's I love that feeling of suffering for the thing that you enjoyed or that you enjoy doing, even if in the moment it fucking sucks. You know what I mean? There's something about that, and that's so hard to sort of come to grips with in life, I think. And again, I'm sure this is true of other people and other facets of other people's lives, but I don't know. I think you just got to find the thing that you love and let it kill you. You know what I mean?
I feel like anything that is truly fulfilling has at least some portion of it that is a bit of suffering. You know what I mean?
And it's I think you can only find the enjoyment of it in the fulfillment of it through that. You know what I mean? That. I think don't get me wrong, it'd be nice if somebody handed me $1 million tonight and it's okay, but and I wouldn't complain in that moment, but I think that there's something about, and this is going to sound so silly, but there's something about earning it through suffering that actually gives it the value.
Oh yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean?
Yeah.
And it sucks because you don't want to suffer, you don't want other people to suffer, but I kind of want to suffer. You know what I mean?
It's what makes it worth it.
But it's also hard because it's and I'd be really curious to know your thoughts on this because I know as a younger person, if you are in the music world, it is very hard. And as a younger person, that suffering, to me, it's almost like a totally different kind of suffering, because part of it is just, it's self-inflicted. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I remember, I know very, very clearly the frustration that I would feel as a younger person going through that. Call it suffering, call it whatever you will. It was agonizing, and it was well, why? If I'm busting my ass doing this, why am I not yielding the results I want to get, etc. And that really is just bitching. That is just being a pussy.
Absolutely.
And it's that's one thing, but the kind of suffering I'm talking about, it takes up a different part of my mind. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where it's it sucks and it's time consuming, whatever it is. I mean, the stuff that you love, it could be the work you put into a relationship or whatever. It's anything that you want to invest in, that suffering, it takes up a different segment of the mind where it's hard, but you like that it's hard. You like that you get, and that's what I wish more people could tap into that part of what that is without, the other thing, which just, I think leads to just cynicism and is kind of gross and, it doesn't really get you anywhere.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I don't know. Again, I'm also an idiot, so I know nothing, but
Stop. Not true. Not true at all.
It's a little true.
It's yeah.
Some truth there.
Brian's known me a long time. Yeah, there's some truth there. Oh my word. Yeah, but I think that the more of that kind of suffering in the world, I think the better. It makes people, because you need fulfillment. Like it's a tricky thing.
Anything immediately gratifying is usually not fulfilling in the long run.
Yeah, that's why it's like you look at those people who like hit the lottery, the statistics on people who win the lottery, it's wild.
Yeah, don't they like all go broke?
Oh yeah, and they go broke and they just get wildly depressed. Like, what you think? Like, it's funny because it's like power. You know what I mean? You think like, oh, if someone gave me $5 million tomorrow, I'd be fine. But it's like, it is funny. It is in my mind, it's like comparable to power. You know what I mean? Where you think, okay, well, if that was me, I would never. And then inevitably you're in that situation and it's like,
it would be hard not to go a little crazy.
Oh my gosh.
That would take some serious discipline.
Yeah. If you what's I don't even know what like the average like Powerball win is. I don't think I've like ever gambled in my like with that kind of thing
they
ever.
Get up into like the hundreds of millions.
Okay, so
they definitely do.
Let's say 500 million. Okay, you get $500 million. What's the first thing you guys are doing with that money?
I would just travel. I think I would just literally want to go everywhere I could possibly go.
Go anywhere. Okay. Because I think about that sometimes. It's like, I think about, okay, what are the things that I would do in that situation and why aren't I doing them short of the money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, okay, travel, that's a good one. What about you, Brian?
I mean, the first thing I would do would be invest a lot of it and make sure that I will keep a large sum of money and so I never have to work again.
We don't want
and
a
then
boring
after
answer.
that, then I just ball out and buy a Lamborghini and fucking, then I go crazy.
That's fair. Yeah.
Set myself up and then just...
Yeah, that makes sense. I misstepped one of setting myself up and went straight to spending money.
Straight to traveling.
I think that's where most people probably, but traveling is pretty good though. That's a good one though. Because most people, they probably go straight to the Lamborghini step, which is not as fun.
Well, you can travel in a Lamborghini. so.
There you go.
Man, that's great.
Oh my word.
I love that.
Oh, well, dude, I'm just so happy that you did this. This was
me too. This has been fun.
This has been so cool. I love the fact that we've gotten to have a nice excuse to talk to friends and it's
always a good time.
It's been a ball. So, dude, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I know that's the thing. That's the thing I love about doing this too is I don't know any of this shit. So
I was like, was
cool.
I even informative?
Oh, it was very informative.
I feel very informed.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, thank you. I'm much more learned in this whole world.
Learned.
There we go. Awesome. That was super fun one. That was killer.
It was. Thank you.
I feel like I got off on lots of tangents.
That's what podcasts are for.
Exactly. That's the way to do it. That was a